Well, Tatiana, this is a fight that I think a lot of people, I'm sure yourself included, has been waiting for. It just, in generally in your life, how would you describe yourself when it comes to patience? Are you a patient person, or are you one of those people like, I know I need something right away?
I am impatient, but because of the things I've had to go through, I've had to learn to be patient. So I guess, you know, the universe knew what I needed.
How's it been knowing how good you are, having the world tell you how good you are, but just to not be able to physically do it? How has that been over the last
Yeah, it's been
10 years?
difficult, but you just get, you know what I mean? I have to go roll with the punches literally, and then just kind of, figure it out and just not give up and keep just staying on the grind. It really was difficult, like especially like after I had rehabilitated my neck, and then I went through like the knee surgery, and because it was such a dramatic, not a traumatic knee injury, like it was one of the worst ones. Like I almost tore every ligament. So it wasn't just like a regular, like, oh, I tore my ACL, I can still walk. And I like tore every ligament in my knee. So it was very, very difficult, and it was very painful, like a very painful process. So that was like real tough for a couple days after I tore my knee. I didn't know what I was gonna do. And then I just made the decision, like I was like, well, I just know how good I am, and I know that I can't give up. So I just like decided then and there that I started working out with one leg, and I was like, well, I guess the comeback's starting right now. And I was just like doing cardio with one leg, and yeah, I was on crutches, and then I hadn't even gone through surgery yet. So, I mean, it's pretty cool.
Do you feel like if you weren't so certain that you were the absolute best, that you still would have done it? Like, what if you were just like, hey, I'm UFC caliber, but I'm not like this phenom that people relate to Khabib? Like, do you think you still would have gone through it if it wasn't like, I am the best at this?
I don't know, because, I don't know. I just know that I'm the best, and so, like, it's difficult for me to just give up. And then I also think, like, because of the way I was raised, my mom's always taught me to work for everything that I've ever had, and just, like, to keep persevering, because like I've experienced losses in wrestling, and I've had times where I've worked hard and I've kept working hard and I wasn't getting the result that I wanted, like at a tournament or whatever. So I had to just keep working and working until I got what I wanted, And I think that's like, I'm looking at this thing behind me, and it literally says trust the process, and I'm just thinking like, damn, that's crazy. Yeah. I'm thinking about that, because that is exactly what you have to do. You have to trust in it, and you have to know that, at the end of the day, it's like, as long as you do everything you can in order to get your head raised, like, man, I'll stand against anybody in the world, because I believe in myself that much.
I think it's easy for people like me and anybody who becomes familiar with your story to link what happened to you in wrestling and what's happened to you in this,
Yeah.
Is it the same for you? Are there similarities between them, or do they feel like two completely separate things?
They feel pretty similar, but it almost just seems unreal, because when you look at everybody else and their story, it's just so different than my story. So it's hard to believe that, I am as good as I am, and then I just can't, I haven't been able to stay healthy and show that to everybody. So that's been, difficult, but at the same token, I'm just like, I love it so much that I show up every single day, because I love training, and this is like truly my passion. Like, people ask me, oh, what is your hobby? I'm like, oh, MMA is my hobby, I guess, and I happen to be very good at it. And, like, even my fiance, sometimes at night, he's like, hey, can we just turn it off for a second? I'm like, but I really want to try this arm bar. And he's like, okay. And he loves me so much, he'll just let me do it.
Why do you think, I'm sure most people, so I'm assuming maybe you, but maybe not, there would be times they were just like, why? Why me? Like, why is this happening to me? Like, why did what happened with my wrestling career keep me from the Olympics? And now why is this neck thing and this knee thing happening to me when I'm right there? And so did you ask yourself that? And if you did, what answer did you come to?
Yeah, I mean, of course, like, the human in me is like, I think that. But then I think to myself, man, like, along the way I am inspiring people, because, I've had multiple things to overcome. And so, I look back at the documentary, and I had to be very, very, very vulnerable in that. You know, I had a lot of my life story in there, and I had a lot of things that happened in my life, things that are very personal to me, you know, appear in the documentary. But then I got such a good response, and even though it was uncomfortable for me and I had to be under the spotlight, obviously, because it is about me, it did inspire people. And I think, you know, my brother has a wrestling school, and it's called Legacy Wrestling Academy, and his theme is like, what's going to be your legacy? And so for me, I think that my legacy is going to be that I have such an inspiring story and that I never gave up.
One fight I want to specifically ask you about before we talk about the fight that's coming up is that one against Nina Nunes. When you went back after the fight, there was that like media scrum, and you were like going like this, you know, and they were asking you, of course, about the neck. Like, does that fight stand out to you? Because I would feel like it would, that that happened to you, and that you said at one point, like, you're like your face was numb in the middle of a fight, right? I mean, does that fight stand out in a really significant way?
Yeah, for sure. Just because I had been so healthy, and like after I fought Carla, you know, nobody wanted to accept fights with me because, you know, essentially I did beat Carla pretty badly. So a lot of people weren't going to say yes. And then, you know, they kept postponing things. And then I ended up fighting Nina like almost a whole year later, even though I was completely healthy. And sometimes that happens, you know, the state of the division and stuff. Everybody's kind of booked up and stuff. And then, like I just said, like no one wanted to accept fights with me. So I ended up fighting Nina, and I was like completely healthy the entire time, and it felt so amazing going into the fight. And then like, you know, maybe a week before I hurt my neck because I like shot into the wall and I hurt my neck pretty bad. So going into the fight, I didn't know, you know, like how it would respond. But, you know, like after the first round, I was like, damn, like this is going to be real tough just because like my neck was really, really bad, and like my arm was numb and my face was numb, and I was like, well, how am I going to get through all 3 rounds? And I was like, well, I'll figure it out, you know? So I got through, but I mean, yeah, it does stand out just because then that was like, after that I had to take 2 years off because I had my neck got so bad that like I couldn't even roll with like children, like, you know what I mean? So I was like, wow, this is hard. So like I had to rehabilitate my neck, and then 2 years later I was getting ready to fight Roxanne, and then I hurt my knee.
When you were like sitting there answering questions and you were kind of going like this with your neck, were you worried? Like, were you able to enjoy that win, or were you worried?
No, I was just really concerned just because like because of, you know, like in the beginning, you know, I ended up retiring from wrestling because I had such a bad neck. And actually, like, I don't really wrestle too much through my camps because of this, you know. I grapple a lot, but I don't really wrestle just because there's so much, you know, like necks, you have to use your neck for so much to drive and everything. So I stay away from just strictly wrestling. I don't wrestle that much during my camps. And so, you know, I think like for me, I was really, really worried just because of my history of my neck injury and how it actually took me out of my wrestling career. And then eventually I was just like, screw it, I'm fine, you know, I could do it. And I put that, you know, I guess I'm risking it when I do go and fight or I do train because my neck was so bad. And then that happened, and I was like, well, this is kind of severe. And then after the fight, you know, I was like, well, I can still work out. So I was trying to like swim. Well, swimming hurt it. And I was like, well, shit, I don't know. That's a little concerning that swimming hurts my neck, you know? Yeah. So then I had to go and find somebody to help me rehabilitate. And so I did for 2 years.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're still putting it at risk? Like, I mean, obviously all fighters are putting their health at the risk all the time, but is there like an extra layer to it for you?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it does go through my head, especially because, you know, like it acts up, but so far so good, so I'm happy.
Talk to me about Weili, like when she got on your radar, and then I think obviously a lot of people are excited about this fight because she has obviously looked so dominant.
Yes.
And she is a strong grappler, physical, and that's been an area where you've dominated other people. So I gotta imagine you're excited to just tie up with her and see what it feels like, and just talk to me about the matchup and how you anticipate this fight going.
I'm super excited for this matchup just because you have it. Like exactly what I'm thinking is that, you know, she's not just a striker, you know, like people are saying like, oh, you know, she's like a striker. And I'm like, no. If you look at every one of her fights in the UFC, she does not just strike. You know, she does everything. And so, yeah, I look forward to getting in there and feeling that and experiencing that because, you know, a lot of people don't wrestle me back. And so, like, I want to feel that. I want to feel someone that try to wrestle me back, try to grapple me back, and I can't wait to put my training to the test.
First of all, if you tie up with her, do you think there's any chance that, like, if you want to put her down, that she'll be able to stop you? Like, if you have it in your mind, you are going down to this mat, is there a chance that she'll?
Well, I'm very relentless, so I think, you know, like if I make it, if I am the person that I am every single day when I train, I'm gonna put her down. Yeah.
And do you feel like if, in the event, fight's a fight, right, that she is able to stop that, what will that feel like if you cannot take her down?
Then I'll strike with her.
Yeah.
And then eventually I mean, she doesn't always just strike. She doesn't go 5 rounds without grappling, you know? And, you know, I'm prepared for everything. Yeah. I'm prepared to strike with her. I'm prepared to take her down. And I'm prepared to lay her on the floor unconscious when I'm done choking her out.
You talked about your striking and how you kind of wanted to showcase it against Jessica Andrade. Where is your striking at? How confident are you in it? Where would you kind of like assess it?
I'm, you know, I guess I'm just an aggressive person, you know, so I go out there and I do it. I know like it doesn't come out a lot in my fights. I did showcase a little bit in my fight with Andrade, like, you know, I was kicking her to the body a lot. I cut her with a cross, you know. No one, I mean, I don't know what's going on with the commentators, but they didn't even mention that I cut her with a cross, okay? So.
We'll talk to DC about it.
Huh?
We'll talk to DC.
I'm like, it was so fast that they didn't even see it. I'm just kidding. But no, yeah, I feel very confident everywhere it goes. And yeah, I'm very aggressive and I throw everything with intent. I have really good footwork.
Do you find yourself like being curious or wanting like a like bang knockout? Like, yeah, is that?
I mean, after Pat knocked his guy out, I was like, man, what does that feel like? You know? And then he was like, I don't know, it feels amazing. I was like, okay, is it better to choke someone out or is it better to knock him out? And he's like, I think knock him out. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just go in there and fight but I just love to grapple and I love to make people like quit and I like to submit them and I just love the art of submitting people.
Do you think making people quit, that is a specialty of yours, but do you think that she is someone that you can make quit?
I think I could do that to anybody in the world because I am relentless and I am, like my cardio is great and I think I just have good grappling.
Last thing I like to ask this for people, but especially like someone like you who has been through like the story that you have, is when you do win a UFC championship, like what do you think the emotion's going to be?
You know, I start feeling that because I'm like thinking about all the emotions and everything behind it. And then I just reel myself back in and I'm like, Tat, just focus on getting the job done. And then afterwards you'll feel all those feelings and they'll just be natural, you know, but I just I don't know, I think I love to fight and I love to compete so much that it doesn't matter if it's like for a UFC title or my fight against a Montana De La Rosa. Like, I'm just like, I just like to fight and I like to go and win and I like to compete and I like to stack my cards against theirs, you know? And I don't know, it's just fun.
Do you feel like you've really experienced what being a champion feels like whether through wrestling or obviously you won the Ultimate Fighter? Do you feel like or maybe even just in your own self-belief of just like, I know I haven't been able to compete because of injuries, but I know where I'm at. Like, do you feel like you know what it feels like to be a champion or that's still a feeling to come?
Yeah, I know what it feels like to be a champion because I've been a champion since like I was 3 years old and my mom put me in wrestling and I've done all the work and I've gone to multiple, like tournaments and just showed up every single day. Even when people said that I shouldn't be there because I was a female, I was like, I don't care what they think, That was my champion mindset then, and that's been my whole life.